take some Alpha Brain.
What?
I was gonna take some Alpha Brain before the podcast to see if
What's
I'm
Alpha
smarter.
Brain?
It's
Like
I don't
supplement?
know. Yeah, it's a supplement, but it's a nootropic. Like Joe Rogan talks about it,
Oh yeah.
and so
Man,
it's
they're
supposed to
always talking about all kinds of
optimization type of stuff. Yeah, but
yeah.
this is like I've been doing it. I'll do it like once a week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to overdo it because I feel like maybe it's a placebo effect, but it's working for me to where I take it and I just lose some of the fog.
Mm-hmm.
You know that like if
Yeah.
I've not had coffee, I'm kind of walking around in a little bit of a fog or whatever. But so it kind of works.
Yeah.
I've tried that and I tried the neuro gum. Like I hate to be, I don't know. Influenced by influencers, like when you recognize like, oh damn, like Joe Rogan
You got
recommended that I
sold.
do. I got sold, but I'm like, damn, it does kind of work.
Yeah.
So and I'm heavily reliant on caffeine, so I got my
Yeah.
my tea here.
You say you do coffee?
Doo-doo.
Yeah, do.
So
You do have.
I got off coffee, I don't know, it's been a long time, 6 months or a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, my schedule has been pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm dipping my toe back in the pool, but I know I bought some K cups, and I'm not gonna buy any more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use what I have and like cherish them and use them sparingly. But I think coffee, it makes your breath stink. It stinks up your house.
Some people like the smell of it in their house.
I like the smell of it too when I'm drinking it or when it's fresh. But when I come into my house after,
If you like threw away like the filter or something like that,
maybe that's it. But it's like I don't want my house to smell like coffee breath.
Oh yeah, but I mean the grounds smell good though.
Yeah,
They can
no
smell
doubt.
good.
But it's weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, but coffee breath it's terrible. You need gum or something after you.
Oh yeah. And I don't like that it yellows my teeth, which I'm sure the tea does too. I don't like that it makes me a little bit jittery. There's just a bunch of stuff like that. The coffee is too acidic. You drink too much of it, you start feeling gross. So I got off it and I've felt better since I got off it. But like I said, the day job is kind of, I don't want to say it's running me ragged, but my schedule's been crazy. Because
you need that extra boost.
Yeah, I've been waking up extra early. You've had a crazy schedule too, huh?
Yeah. I mean, always.
You're burning the candle both ends.
You gotta do what you gotta do when you're single dad.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
what
I mean
you
that's
gotta
good. You're doing.
Yeah, working.
Yeah, so you're doing some. Well, probably everybody knows that you do the fitness stuff, the coaching.
Yeah.
And obviously you're a DJ because this is a DJ podcast.
Right.
But you also got into like some marketing stuff.
Yeah, digital marketing. Yeah,
Digital marketing.
Shout out to 13 Roses Tattoo. Hired me on to take on their digital marketing and their platforms that they use, like their CRM and their website and their socials and all that. Yeah, man, you get into all that stuff, man. It's them out with that.
It's kind of crazy that it kind of started out with us. We were having some discussions about our DJ careers in marketing and how important it is to post. And if you've listened to some of the early episodes, you've probably heard us talking a little bit about, what it takes to get into the algorithm. And now you do it for a living.
Right. Yeah. I took the reins. We had that conversation and got online and signed up for a course through the Digital Marketing Institute and American Marketing Association. And, worked through that, still working through that, but reached out to some folks and talked to some folks, and somebody hired me on. So starting that pathway.
I'm first of all, I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
But I have a lot of admiration for people who are able to, I guess, cut the cord from the corporate grind. Mm-hmm. I'm still very much, actually, I wasn't. In the corporate whatever world. And then, of course, I got my degree. I work for a corporation now, and you get used to the money, the security, the whatever, 401k insurance, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little scary to go, okay, well, I'm gonna have my own business. I'm gonna rely on DJing and this other, like, I don't want to call it a hustle because it's very legitimate what you're doing, but something other than.
Like, you clocking in and out or working for a corporation. I think that's what you're trying to say. And, I've been there too. I was a recruiter for Apex, worked for a corporation for multiple years. Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different ball game. I mean, because before you did what you're doing now, you just DJ'd and things like that. So it's a different lifestyle. And I don't know, but I still feel like, I think that a lot of people say, like you say, like the security. I don't know if I believe that the security is really there because you just never know.
Yeah. I think you're right. There's always downsizing and acquisitions and just like, you never know what's going to happen, because you don't, these corporations really, they want to make you like, you're our family and we're going to, we're all,
that's a red flag.
No. Like if, I saw a post somebody said, like, if you died today, tomorrow they would post a help wanted for your position. Like,
I was a recruiter, man, and I heard another recruiter, they had a contractor that died, and the next day that the corporation that we were working for, recruiting on, they were reaching out like they needed somebody. So
you're a, what do they call it, a cog in the wheel?
So here's the thing too, the other side of it, some people like that lifestyle, where they're the cog in the wheel, and they, like your job's a little different because there's a lot of things going on, but some people have those corporate jobs where it's the same old song and dance day in, day out. Some people like that.
Yeah. So there's people that literally just like put bottles of Windex into boxes and close them up.
Right.
Imagine doing that all day. But, and then there's corporate world, but then there's the, sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but my mom told me when I was a kid, she said one of the best things that you can do if you want job security is provide a service. Mm-hmm. And as a DJ, we don't think of it as that, but I mean, we kind of are in the service industry.
Oh, 100%.
We're providing a service. We can charge what we want, but you have to, keep an eye on the market and make sure that you don't price yourself out of the market.
Right.
And but I agree completely. If you can have, even if you have a couple different things, let's say you do freelance writing or freelance marketing or freelance DJing or whatever it is, and you only DJ a couple nights a week, but you have one or two other things that you're doing on the side, you could, I think you could probably make pretty close to what you would make working at a corporation 40 hours a week if you put in, your 40 or 50 hours and, you're actually good at whatever it is that you're doing.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think there's people out there. I mean, that's just entrepreneurship, right? Like, there's plenty of people out here that, work the hustle life, and they make, more than people work in the corporate grind. And I think that a lot of people that work the corporate grind don't even understand what, some people that are entrepreneurs are making, like as far as money. And it depends, like, on what the service is, how skilled you are at the service, and then what's the market for the service, right? Like, is it something that people want? If it's something that people want and it's in demand, then you can make some serious money, out here doing different things, like us as DJs, like we know a lot of DJs that make serious money DJing, so.
And the money's more so obviously private events, weddings, corporate gigs,
in St. Louis,
school dances.
I would say in St. Louis, like, but out of town, or depending on who you are and what circles you're in, maybe not, like if you're a New York DJ or you're in a big city that's got a lot of things going on, you might be able to survive and make a really good living off of just being a nightclub DJ. It just depends on where you are. I think for us in St. Louis, like, like if you're going to make a living from being a DJ, I think you need to hit all corners of the DJ world, right? Like, do nightclubs, do bars, do events, birthdays, weddings. You probably want to do it all, so that way you can capitalize on making as much money as possible, because there's guys that I only do weddings or I only do clubs. I think that those people are missing money, for themselves. So, and then, a lot of DJs, when we work at night, what are you doing all day? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So,
yeah. You talked about missing money, and, usually we start out talking about the gig last week, and last week I had something kind of, well, actually it was pretty cool. It happened. And, I was just finishing up. I think I had 12 minutes left until I was done. But it's a Sunday Fun Day thing, so it was over. I'm supposed to stop DJing at 7. So at like 12 minutes to 7, I'm like, all right, I can relax. I just got to run like 3 more songs, and I'm done for the day. And this lady comes up to me, lady, woman, girl, whatever. She probably was my age, whatever. She comes up, she's got a Cardinals jersey on. I'm like, oh, snap, she's from the game. She's not one of, she's not like a Sunday Fun Day, rhythm and brunch type of crowd.
She doesn't know what's going on, bro.
White girl. And so she comes up and she's like, hey, will you play Lit, My Own Worst Enemy? And I'm like, I'm not really playing, rock right now. Just kind of, let me play my, a couple of Chris Brown songs or whatever, and I'm just, I'm going to be done for the day. But they're going to turn the radio on. It's probably going to be rock music or whatever. She's like, what if I give you $30? Absolutely. I'm listening. What do you, know what I mean?
Yeah, you turned it up a notch.
Yeah, so she throws $30 up on the table, and I'm like, all right. So I play the song, and her and a couple of her friends start dancing, and I'm like, it's the end of my set, whatever, who cares? And then she's like, can you play this other one? I was like, yeah, I'll throw another one on the house. You just gave me $30. I'm not going to say no. Two songs for $30 is still crushing it. And then it's probably by the time that song's over, I'm gonna run back over to the sound booth and switch back over to the house sound. So I do. I play another song, and I go back over to the house sound, and I turn the house sound up, and me down, of course. And she comes up and she's like, hey, one more song. I'm like, no. I'm done. She goes, I'll give you $20 more to play one more song.
Oh, man.
Cha-ching. I'm like, okay.
You're like, hold on a second.
So I'm like, what do you want to hear? So she tells me what she wants to hear. I run back to the stage, cue up the song, start the song, and run back over to turn the house music down as like I'm literally running back and forth.
Yeah, like mixing, like on the like running across the room.
Yeah, I'm mixing from 2 different consoles.
Yeah.
And she does it to me again.
Oh, damn.
I turned the house sound back up. She comes up and she's like, I got 20 more for you if you play the song.
At that point, though, like, it's like, come on, man. Like, just tell me all the songs you want. You see me running back and forth. Like why are we doing this song and dance? Like,
literally. What are we doing here?
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, damn, this is taking me, this whole situation is like 12, 13 minutes, and I've made like $80.
Right. Yeah.
So, we talk about leaving money on the table. You got to hustle. You got to get it when you can get it. And I got to thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, man, today, and I was, digging through my pockets as I was finishing up or whatever, pulling out the money that she gave me. But I started pulling out other money that other people were giving me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, in a set, if I a handful of ones or whatever, I just give them to the bartenders. I just use that to tip when I'm getting, drinks or whatever.
Right.
But I got to thinking about it. I'm like, man,
right, you made $100.
Yeah, I made $100 extra, which I know big time DJs, $100. You're probably like, yeah, whatever. That's not.
Yeah, but $100 extra, I mean, that ain't nothing.
But I'm just keeping it real. $100 to me is, I mean, damn, that's like a new pair of Dunks or something. Right. It's so. I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, man, what could I do? I unintentionally made all that money. I just kind of happened to be in the right place at the right time and let it happen, and was like, cool. She was like, man, thank you for being so cool about it. Most DJs are assholes.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. You call me on a good day. I'm an asshole too.
Yeah, in a good mood.
But what do you? Okay, so let me throw it back to you because I've been talking for a while. Like, what
Yeah.
do you think is good etiquette or some good strategies to extract a little extra money out of your gigs?
Man, that's a great question. And I've been trying to figure that out. So what I really like, and the reason why I like this is because I don't carry cash. I love QR codes, and I've been trying to really figure out. I actually had a conversation a couple weeks ago with the homie Dan Carthen about this kind of deal. Figuring out a cool way to set up my QR code that says like Venmo or tips or whatever on it when I DJ. Whether it's but I don't know. I don't want to put it on the back of my laptop.
Yeah.
I think that's tacky. I want to do something that looks kind of cool or just streamlined or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I think that that's a great way. Like, having a tip bucket is great. I don't want to deal with cash though. I'd rather just have QR code to my Venmo or Cash App or whatever, boom, boom, and people can just do that. Because I think people would tip maybe more. I could be wrong, but maybe not. Maybe more if they just use the QR code and they can just scan it and send it instead of having cash.
Sure, but why not do both?
Oh, yeah, not that I'm not going to accept cash if you're going to give me cash. Now, come on. Now, if you pull out that 20 and you give it to him, I'm not going to be like, no, I'm going to take it.
Hit the QR code.
Yeah, I'm going to take it. But I'm just saying, like, I think that, like, having that set up where people see it and having it set up where, like, as soon as they walk up, they see it and they're going to have their, they make their request. They see tips or whatever. Okay, maybe I should tip, even if it's like $2 or, just a couple bucks. But then it's like, boom, they can just scan it real quick and go ahead and send that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being like asking for a tip or, because some people, like this lady that you had experience with, they know I need to tip the DJ to play a song. Other people may not know that. They only think about tips when they go into a restaurant or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but getting people to understand, like, yeah, we take tips.
Yeah, she was obviously service industry. I think she said she owned a bar.
Oh, okay.
But it was loud, and she was trying to tell me, whatever. She was, she's like, she was a little drunk, She's like, I'm a big deal. I own a bar, and da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I don't remember, like, exactly what she said. But honestly, a lot of times those are the best tippers, industry people.
Yeah. Because they know, like, what. They know what's going on. They've been around,
right. Yeah, they want to get big tips, so they pay it forward and
it's
stuff.
like residual,
and they usually have some cash on them too.
Yeah, they got cash. Yeah, because they get
cash.
tips.
It makes sense.
But yeah, I think like having a QR code, some kind of thing out where people see it and it triggers them to tip.
Yeah,
would be helpful.
I've had people ask me for my Venmo or Cash App, but I'm always a little like. Maybe, with me working in IT, like I should probably look into this and understand it a little bit better. But I know that there's like, there's scams and hacks and stuff like that you can do where instead of them sending you money, they're charging you money. You just have to keep a close eye on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So like what I've experienced with that, and I've never gotten caught up with it, but I've had people try to do it, is what they have to do is, they will say, hey, I need your Cash App so I can send you money or something like that. But then they want you to go in and change things inside of your Cash App or inside of your Venmo. So if like you just give somebody your Venmo, like your QR code or your Venmo name, they can't do anything with that. They want you to, and I forget what it was, but they want you to do these extra steps that are unnecessary. And that's what triggers like, okay, this is a scam. Because like, again, like say if I like right now, if I'm going to pay you on Venmo, all I need is your Venmo name and I can just type it in Venmo and then you pop up and I can send you money. I don't need your email address. I don't need anything else but that. But when they start asking for, and again, I can't remember exactly what it is, but for you to do these extra steps, then it's a scam. Then you're out.
Yeah, I think that's just... I think that's just been my like only hang up is maybe because I work in cybersecurity. I'm just real like nervous or whatever about giving somebody access to anything that has to do with my financials.
I believe PayPal owns Venmo. Maybe. So, and PayPal is pretty, I mean, they're pretty locked down.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I think it's just one of those things, like, you know, old school. I'm kind of carrying some of my, you know, old ways into the new world of, you know, because I definitely have turned down. People are like, "Hey, what's your Cash App? I'm going to tip you," and I'm like, you can't keep a couple dollars on you."
Nah, man, I'm total opposite, bro. I don't have, man, I can't. Cash like burns a hole in my pocket. Because here's the other thing about cash.
I don't know. For me, I'm the opposite. Go ahead. Sorry.
Here's the thing about cash. Like, if you lose it, it's gone. So what I do is, as soon as I get cash, I put it in the bank. And that's how I manage my money. I manage my money all digital, like through my banking app and stuff like that. So like, I don't want to count money. I don't want to have physical money. I want it all to be in the bank, and that's how I deal with everything. But yeah.
See, yeah, you and I are different in that way. When I have cash and I have to hand somebody, I'm like, this is money. I'm handing it to you. So I have less money in my wallet. But if I can just swipe when I'm out shopping or whatever, I spend way too much money. I go back and look at it, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden you just spent $1,000. But if I would have had to pull $1,000 out of my wallet, I probably would not have made those purchases.
So I don't have an issue with like spending. I just don't want to have it because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose my wallet. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I lose my wallet and it's just my debit card, I can just call, or you get on the app, cancel your debit card, you get a new one, or your credit card, right? If I lose $100, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if, you know, my wallet falls out of my pocket somewhere and I had $100 in there, I'm not getting that $100 back. But if my wallet falls out, it's just my debit card and my credit cards, I just cancel them, send me another one. It's all good.
Yeah.
So it's not really I don't have a spending issue. The spending, whether it's cash or it's digital, doesn't bother me. It's just a matter of just like managing, I guess, the funds.
No, I get it. But we're not like a financial advice podcast.
Right,
so probably, you know, get back into like some DJ stuff. But let's switch it up. So, are you, you know, we talked about you getting busy with work, the new marketing gig, the DJing, being a father, the coaching, all those things. Have you been able to keep up consistent with all of the different, personal DJ stuff that you've been doing, like all the posting reels and flyers, and like, has that been taking a hit?
Flyers are still good. Making reels slowed down a little bit because I just haven't been home as much. Where before I was at home a lot more. Now that I'm moving around. But the thing is a lot of the things that are going on are new. Like tattoo shop's a new deal with the marketing job. And then, it's been an extension to the coaching, which is a new situation. So once I get a handle on, having a schedule for that, I'll be able to fit things in to get back to doing that kind of stuff.
Do you have any systems, or like, do you keep a calendar? Is there anything that you
iPhone
do
calendar, man. Everything's in the iPhone calendar. Yeah.
But do you even use that for, like, say you're, posting videos, or for like, how do I
manage that?
Yeah, because like I said, it's the same with me. Like, sometimes I get busy or I go out of town or whatever it is. I'll be on a good, consistent thing where it's like, okay, I'm posting every other day, or I'm, creating content or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's difficult to stay on track, but it's also just really easy once you get off track, not to get back on track, whether it's working out or DJing or spending money or whatever. And I just kind of curious if you have any systems that you use to kind of,
one thing I would
manage
say,
all that.
So as far as like, I don't really have so much of a system, but what I do have, and I recommend any DJ that's trying to get better and fit in, have a second setup at the house that's ready to go all the time. So, when you're busy and you're moving around a lot, and then you want to make something or you want to just practice, like to have to set up all your stuff is just puts a big hurdle in the way of being able to, get it, even 30 minutes of practice in. So I have everything set up ready to go. Where literally I have another laptop. I just flip the laptop open, boom, it's ready. As far as me, like, as a system or scheduling, really it's a matter of, okay, obviously I'm a dad and I have a toddler. So when he's home, I don't really get to do things. But when he's not there and I have like little pockets of time, since I do have everything set up, it's not hard for me to do something, make a 1 minute reel or 30-second reel or get in an hour's worth of practice, at any time, as long as I'm at home. Even if I'm at home doing other things, maybe I got 30 minutes. All right, let's go. Since everything is already set up, ready to go, there's no hurdle. So I can go do that. It's almost like taking a smoke break, right? Just boom, ready to go.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, for most of my life, I didn't have two setups.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I would leave my turntables in the cases for a couple of days. Like I was just notorious for that.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, I started when you bring your stuff in the house, you don't get to sit down and relax until you set your stuff back up in the kitchen. I'm a kitchen guy. Some people do it in the basement or whatever.
Right.
But, I would recommend that if you don't have two setups, we're privileged in that way, I guess. But, now, but for most of my life, I wasn't. And now, but I would probably still do the same thing. And I guess one of the other reasons why I bring this up is so I kind of let myself get a little bit out of shape and physically, eating a lot of, fast food and drinking soda and not hitting the gym as much as I should have been. I was talking to Boogie B about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, Matt, and he's kind of a newer dad and, he's got a lot of irons in the fire and stuff like that. And I was like, man, we got to get back on track.
Yeah.
And he agreed. And so we set up like I don't know, like a little pact.
Yeah.
Where it was like, all right, we're going to do, 100 push-ups a day.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, well, we got to work on cardio too. I'm like, all right, well, we'll run a mile twice a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, I guess whatever, go to jiu-jitsu twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that, I guess this is 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about involving somebody else.
Yeah,
whether
accountability.
The accountability component, it's like having a fitness coach or, having a partner that you do a podcast with, having somebody that's like, hey, did you do your push-ups? Did you get your runs in this week? And having some, a social contract or even a, somebody that you've got a deal worked out where there's consequences. Like he and I, whoever doesn't do all the things that they're supposed to do for the week has to buy the other person a smoothie or something, like a Smoothie King smoothie.
Yeah.
So that's not like, it's not going to break the bank.
How are you guys tracking everything?
We just text each other.
Okay.
So,
does he have an Apple Watch?
He's getting one.
I would say because you guys can be able to keep up with each other on the Apple Watch as well, like activity.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have one yet, but I send him a picture of my watch whenever I complete a mile or whenever I finish the push-ups.
Yeah. Okay,
so again, we're not a fitness podcast, but I wonder if that same, I don't know, modality, right? That same technique could be applied to DJing, where
100%.
You kind of partner up with somebody and you're like, look, man, we're gonna practice together 2 nights a week, and then you have to practice another 4 nights that week or whatever it's gonna be. Maybe that's too much, but and spend X amount of hours digging for records or X amount of hours working on social media stuff or whatever, and having a person where you're like, look, man, let's team up on this, in a way where we're checking in with each other. Because if I'm just left to my own devices, I'm gonna pick up the video game controller. I'm gonna I'm gonna do it's that same kind of argument or psychology of, if I have a bowl of fruit on my counter and I've got a bag of chips, which one's going to disappear first?
Right.
Probably the bag of chips.
Right.
But, if I don't have the bag of chips, the bowl of fruit's going to disappear first. Right. So when, you're kind of forcing yourself into making the right choices, good decisions, or whether it's, taking your video game systems and putting them in the closet, which I'm not recommending anybody do, because I'm not doing that myself. But, building some things into your life to where maybe, whatever it is, maybe it's the accountability thing. Maybe you've got alarms on your phone. Maybe it's built into your schedule. And I'm really interested in exploring those things because, well, first of all, we got a podcast. We're talking to people, making recommendations and stuff like that. But maybe you and I could be, I don't know, like test dummies or whatever you want to call it, where we experiment with different ideas of like, okay, hey, we're going to try and do the calendar thing, or hey, we're going to try and do the accountability thing, or hey, we're going to try and do, what's going to happen if I scratch for an hour a day, 6 days a week over the course of 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, and we could run some experiments like that and report back on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to kind of rewind a little bit, like you were talking about systems, and one thing I thought about, like that I use as a tool, is, and this could apply to anything, is make things easy, right? Like, because you talked about like, oh, maybe your setup's in your basement, or maybe it's don't put your setup somewhere where it's a hurdle or an obstacle for you to get to it.
That's why mine's in the kitchen.
Yeah, put it somewhere that it's easy for you can see it, you can get to it easy. You don't have to go all the way down. Like some people have it in their bedroom because as soon as they wake up, they roll out of bed and it's right there. Or your home office, or wherever it is that's easy for you to get to. Yeah. Like, what I mean? If you live on, if you got a 3-story house and your setup's in your basement, you got to go all the way down to the basement, that might not be the best spot.
Yep.
Because, there's too many obstacles for you to get down there. And then, like, is it in good proximity for you to, go down there for a half hour and do something else and then go back to it, in 30 minutes, where it's like you're kind of bouncing back and forth? Because that's something that I do too. Is like I may be working on something else, then like I said, I take like a little break, and then I'll jump on the tables and scratch for like 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll go back to doing whatever it is that I'm doing at the desk. So because it's right there.
Yeah.
If it's something where I got to go downstairs, or I got to go upstairs, or I got to go here or there, and this goes like to the fitness stuff too as well. Just being a fitness coach for the last 10 years. That's why group fitness is huge, like you said about the accountability partner, but then also making it easy to do. If you got all these obstacles in the way, you ain't gonna do it. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, having somebody that you do things with, that you report back and forth about, like, and everybody's, working together on it, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I think it's worth exploring like a couple of different options, and maybe we can, maybe it's something you and I can do, or if one of my DJ buddies is listening to this that like wants to
just comment down below.
But I've read The War of Art, and I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's talked about it a bunch of times with like his comedian friends, and what The War of Art is. It's about the Stephen Pressfield, this author. He talks about resistance, and he talks about just part of the human condition. It's like built into our operating system. It is we don't do the things that we know that we need to do in order to get where we want to be in life, especially when it has to do with creative things, whether it's writing a book or writing stand-up material, or coming up with DJ routines. It's like, okay, I know I need to do that, but I'm going to get the laundry done first and hit the floors. And I am, I'm so good at procrastinating.
I was going to say, that's a form of procrastination. It's using other things where like you go do because I've read like Atomic Habits.
I've read that too.
And there's another one. I mean, I'm reading the 5 a.m. Club right now.
That one was tough for me.
Yeah,
it's so long, and they beat around the bush for like
I take it
10 chapters.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. I take it back. I don't read it. I listen to. I do audiobooks, but let's make that clear. But yeah, all that stuff is a form of procrastination because I think when people start things, the accountability kicks in, right? So if I start X, that means I have to finish X. But if I don't start it, now I'm not accountable to finish it.
Yeah.
So people will go do other things to push off, because once they start, it's like, oh damn, I started this, now I got to finish it. So they'll do all these other things just to not start, but it's just a form of procrastination. That's all it is.
So you got to build it into your day, like an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is that you're going to dedicate. Like Stephen Pressfield talks about, like you have to be a professional. You have to go, okay, here's, from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock or whatever it's going to be. I'm going to sit in front of my turntables, and whatever happens, happens. Like the magic might happen, but if I'm not there in front of my turntables, or, in the studio or whatever it is, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
And so, and he talks about the muse, and he talks about inspiration, and these ideas, these great ideas are looking to come about. They're looking for a vehicle or a way to enter the world, but you have to be ready to receive these ideas. So, and you're not, the more you are in front of your turntables, or if you're consistently in front of your turntables, the more likely it is that one of these ideas is going to come and find you.
Yeah, one of the things too is like kicking motivation out. Like a lot of people, oh man, I'm not motivated to do this, or I'm not inspired. Like you have to like get over that and kick discipline in.
Yeah,
and just go do it.
Just like you don't want to get up and go to work in the morning, but you do it anyways because that's your job, that's your profession, that's what you do.
That's routine.
You have to do the same thing. And again, I'm not doing this right this second. I've done this at different points in my life, but I call it being on the path. And that means that I am deliberately focusing on something in order to get better at it, whether it's, say it's health and fitness, I'm like on the path, or if it's getting better at DJing, on the path, improving my relationships, on the path. And so that's the thing. And I think you waver on this. You can be on the path for a while, fall off the path. And that's where the systems, you get on the path and you have the systems in place to keep you on the path, where you go, okay, look, unless it's A, B, or C, from this time to this time, I'm going to be in front of my turntables. Because when you're sitting there playing video games or you're watching TV or whatever, you're not thinking about music. You're not getting better at doing this thing that you want to become great at. And I think that makes the difference between, or that is the difference between the people who become exceptional at something. Last week we talked about Scratch Bastard. And of course, there were other DJs there as well, but you can tell those DJs that treat it as a profession. They put those hours in, the 10,000 hours or whatever it is. And we're kind of talking about books a lot. But there's, the Outliers by, what's the fella's
name? I can't remember his name, but yeah, I mean, yeah, just
they talk about the situation with the Beatles, where they played these 10-hour gigs like 6 days a week. They didn't just out of the blue write 100 of the greatest pop songs in the world. They played other people's pop songs for years.
Yeah, they were a cover band. Started out with,
and that helped them to really learn the I guess the anatomy or whatever of a hit song, a pop song, like what works and what doesn't. What do all these things have in common? And that's because they really spent the time. So, I don't know what the phrasing is, but when preparedness meets opportunity, that's when
that's when that magic happens.
The magic happens. Yeah, if you've put in, and I've noticed too, when I DJ or when I practice, you hearing something, some fuzz?
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know.
Can we check our connections here?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I hear it though.
Can you wiggle your stuff over there? Tap your... It's not the switches. Well, damn. Okay, we'll keep it going.
Yeah,
we'll just try to ignore the fuzz in the microphone.
They might not be able to hear it.
Right.
I don't know, it might be coming through just the headphones.
Yeah, could be. Okay.
Yeah, but to go to what you said, like the magic, like I think the biggest thing, like the main point is you can't get better at something DJing without DJing. You have to DJ. Whether it's practicing, DJing out, you have to do these things. And I think that a lot of people get caught up into thinking that they're just going to become good out of nowhere. It's not going to happen like that. You got to practice. You got to put the time in. You know what I mean? You got to fail. You have to, mess up to get better. And so you can figure out what, I think it's coming from that.
What, this?
Yeah, you move that around. Something changed. Here, bring the what's called down real quick. The pods down, just on the mics, all the way down. All right, yeah, mics are picking up something.
I wonder if it's the wires.
So when you brought them down, they went away.
All right, we'll live with it. We keep it rolling.
Yeah. So yeah,
we're doing it live
and direct. Anyway.
The magic.
Yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta practice. You gotta DJ. You gotta just jump out there and dive in and do it. And that's the only way you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's trying to get better at being in the club or doing a mobile event. Maybe you're a wedding DJ and you want to get better at doing announcements and being on the mic. You gotta practice that stuff.
Yeah. Record yourself. But be deliberate. Like we all know, practice makes perfect, right? But what we're talking about is building systems, having a plan, having some accountability, having it like built into your life.
Yeah.
In a way that there's not really a way for you to get out of doing.
Well, I feel like if you want to get out of doing it, or like if it's hard for you to do it, then it's not for you.
Yeah. That and you talked about before, you take a break from your work and go DJ. Like that is how you know something is your passion.
Right.
If you can stay up all night, if you stay up all night DJing, scratching, whatever, you can stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, just searching for music, then you're passionate about DJing.
Right.
But if you're like, I
gotta go do it.
I gotta search for music.
Yeah.
I gotta practice.
Right.
You may like the idea of being a DJ, but you might want to re-examine that. There might be something else for you.
Right.
Whether it's producing, find that thing that you're passionate about, because this very much is, I think, if you're performing or you're a comedian or whatever, if you don't love comedy, you're not going to be a great comedian.
Yeah.
If you don't freaking love DJing, you're not going to be a great DJ.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 100%. You know what I mean? That's just, it's funny, we talk about all these things, and they apply to everything. There's no exception because, we're talking about DJing. And, whether it's DJing, fitness, playing a sport, playing an instrument, whatever it is, if you're passionate about it, you're going to do it. You're going to find time for it. Like relationships, right? Like if you're passionate about the person you're with, you're going to find time for them. It's all the same. I think the biggest thing, too, is and I go back to it again, simplify your process of fitting it in if you're a busy person. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a dad, you got a day job, and you got this and you got that going on. You got to pay the bills. You got, you got to make, practicing DJing. There's no money. You know what I'm saying? Like for that time. So you still gotta, have your income coming in, but make it easy for you to get in, even if it's 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. Wake up earlier. Whatever it is, I don't know what it, everybody's life situation, and I'm not a life coach, but yeah, I think that, that's critical to success, and not just, when I think about success, I don't think about just financial success. Like I want to get a good reaction from the crowd. I want to see people dancing. I want people to come up to me and say, it was my birthday and I had the best time because of you, or you exceeded expectations. Like all those things are the payoff of putting in that work, putting in those extra hours of organization and practice, and doing all the things.
Yeah,
that's going to be the reward. You may not ever make it out of the local circuit or whatever you want to call it, and that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah, some people don't mind that. Mojax was on road, and he's like, man, I'm a local DJ, and he's good with that. And we all know Mojax.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's a household name in the DJ world, DJ community. But like as far as like DJing, and I was surprised to hear that he's like, yeah, I don't really DJ anywhere. I just DJ in my hometown basically. And I was like, dang, I didn't even think about that. I thought Mojax was all over the place, and he's not. But he found a lane doing something else that contributes to the culture that we all respect. Because if a new piece of gear comes out, we're all going to that YouTube channel to figure out what Mojax has to say about it.
Yeah, he's
so
Bill Nye, the science guy of DJing. And I think that, as we do this podcast more and, we kind of figure out our way, like maybe there's some of that. Maybe we will find that in this podcast as well, is kind of what I was proposing. And I know we had never really talked about that before, just you and I, so I'm just kind of bringing it up on the spot. But, we don't know what this is going to become, but we have to be able to adapt, and we have to be able to, figure out something that is going to provide value. Because eventually here we're going to run out of little stories or little things to I don't want to say we're going to run out of things to talk about, but we have to also kind of drink the Kool-Aid, and we have to do the things to keep the wheels turning.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like the same thing for producing content. It's only so many scratch videos you can really make. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like until you're like, all right, I've done that scratch. 10 reels now. You know what I mean? So you definitely got to start experimenting with different things. But what the dope thing about just bringing it back to DJing and tech and doing reels is like there's so much now with the equipment, the gear, the software that and I find myself getting caught in this sometimes where I'm still doing traditional turntable stuff with the new equipment, and I'm like, man, I need to find the new stuff. You know what I mean? Like, what's the new thing that I can do that's dope, that's not traditional turntable, just scratching or beat juggling? Like what can I do with the pads? What can I do with the with stems or with some other effects or things like that? Like that's what I try to think about to just move things forward, because you see some of these guys, man, you're like, man, that's so dope, and it's not traditional stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the key. When we're talking about content, it's you could just do a scratch break over a break record or something and use different samples and different break records, but eventually you're going to have to break out of that, and you're going to have to do tone play juggles, but then you'll exhaust that, and then you incorporate all of those things, and then okay, well, now it's going to be something different. It's going to be wordplay, it's going to be live remix, it's going to be something. But then there's going to be things after that and things after that, and you have to just continue to explore.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast. I can't think of the fella's name, but the guest that he had on was Tim Ferriss, and they were talking about some of these things. And Tim Ferriss, he asked Tim Ferriss, what was he doing? Like, how did he choose what projects it was that he wanted to work on? And he said, well, there's kind of two factors. And one of them, I believe, was building skill, and the other was building network.
Okay.
So if you're like, okay, what am I going to do? I have to make a choice. Like, do I want to just sit and, search for music or whatever it is? It's okay. You could do that. And I'm using that as kind of an arbitrary sort of example.
Yeah.
But if you think about it in terms of, okay, I want to start a project, something where I'm building a skill and I'm building a network.
Yeah.
So for example, this podcast.
Yeah.
I think this is, we're on social network and we're talking about the St. Louis community of DJs, things like that. So this is something that I think slowly over time is going to, build our network or improve our network. It's going to have, that's going to be the impact.
Yeah.
But also, we're building skills by doing this. We're building our ability to speak in long format. We're building our ability to articulate our thoughts, things like that. So, like this fits that description of a good project. So, if you're wondering, you're like, okay, well, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. I thought that was a great way to, something that you should, are great characteristics that potential projects should have in your decision-making tree of do I want to move forward with this? It should fill both of those buckets and not be a goal of I'm going to get rich off this one day, or I'm going to, be the best in the world, or whatever is, those are very difficult goals. And also 3-year goals, 5-year goals, even 1-year goals, I don't recommend. Set a 2-week goal, set a 1-month goal, or something like that, where you're like, okay, I'm going to try to see how good I can get at scratching every day for the next 2 weeks. In that 2-week time, like that, it's a reasonable goal to set. You are going to get considerably better, especially if you don't already scratch every single day. So there's that side of things, but then, again, there's the project side. So sorry if I'm muddying the water a little bit, but there was, I was a little inspired by that podcast, and I thought those were wise words I could pass on.
100%. Like you said, if it's building a skill and building a network, I mean, that's, as far as DJing, that's the key. You know what I mean? Like, you want to build your skills and you want to build a network so you can basically sell your skills. So, I mean,
if you're making a reel, that reel, first of all, you got to get good. So you got to practice what you're going to do for the reel, or you should.
Yeah.
We're going live. No. But, there's that component of it of I need to sharpen up my skills if I'm gonna make a reel. But then that reel, who knows, once you put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, that's spot on. Happen. That's spot on for DJing. You know what I mean? Like, spot on. Like, you have to do things that, again, build your skills and build your network simultaneously, because, it's hard to do. It's hard. Buildings now is a really good time for this, because, you rewind to, when you and I started DJing, it was very hard to do both at the same time, or almost like in a chain, because we could build our skill, which took practicing at home, or we could build our network, which meant being out in the street. Now I can build my skill practicing at home. I come up with something, I can instantly with a phone record it and then post it to the world. Before, it was build your skill, and then now I got to figure out how in the world am I going to get people to see this?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? So, like,
when you're a resident DJ somewhere too, it's the same people, or generally the same people coming and seeing you every week.
Yeah.
So how do you amplify your name or your whatever your skills outside of that?
Yeah.
How do you let the rest of St. Louis or the world know that, hey, yo, this is this dope DJ? And, it's by using the algorithm and using
social media,
that network. And because like I'll be the first to admit, I DJ'd a place that, there's been a lot of different DJs that have come through Tin Roof, and every once in a while somebody comes in that I've never met before. I've never heard their name. They're from St. Louis and they blow me away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, where did you come from?
Yeah. And
then you realize, like, whoa, St. Louis is way bigger than you think. There's a lot more DJs than you think. It's just that, they've not amplified what they do enough to where it is crossed over into my algorithm, whatever. So,
yeah.
But then you meet them, whatever, and then, you get the crossover of exposure and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I mean, using social media to your benefit is major. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, because, again, you talk about 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it really wasn't a thing. Maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, no. But, yeah, being able to, sharpen those skills and impose it to the world, I mean, it's there for the taking. And if you're not doing it, I don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, if you're the kind of guy that or gal that you don't want to practice, you're not really interested in getting better. You don't feel like you need to improve your DJ skills. Your network's fine. You don't need to improve your network. More power to you, because.
Well, I would say keep your expectations low, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that, yeah. But also. Thank you for not being competition for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And like, I'm trying to do a little community service out here by telling people, hey, here's some things that you can do if you're motivated and you just don't know what or how to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're lazy, good.
Yeah, it's good for us other working DJs.
Stay at home, and the guys that have the hustle and drive, they'll go make that money. And
they're gonna shine through, and they're gonna get the attention and the spotlight. Yeah, they'll get it, because when it's time. See, here's the thing. DJing. The weird thing about DJing is the fact that, like, not every gig is a spotlight gig, right? So, you play a lot of gigs where it's like, oh, I can just kind of sit back here and, do the bare minimum and it'll be fine. But every now and then, there's going to be that gig, that situation where it's like, okay, I can turn it on, I can be creative, I can show my skills, and you got to show up. And if you're not ready for that, if you're waiting for that moment and then saying, okay, when that moment comes, I'm going to get ready, it ain't going to work like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be you got to be ready for that moment, for when that moment comes. You can't wait and say, like we talk about this DJ battle stuff. Oh, I'm going to wait till the battle comes and then I'm going to get ready to battle. Nah. Like, no. Because the dude that's been getting ready to battle, he going to eat you alive.
Right. He's going to fold. Yeah. And I've been in that situation before, in the early years of battling and not putting in the time. And it wasn't even that I wasn't working at it. It was that I got into battles or were competing with people who had years on me. Mm-hmm. I was still a new DJ. So, I thought I would come in and we'd all be swimming in the shallow end. But I got my little floaties on and I'm like, hey guys, I'm at the
take your floaties off, put you in the deep end, let you drown.
Yeah, they're like, no floaties,
Yeah, no floaties, no safety devices.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, you get in there and they're going to do their best. They're going to show out, and you go, damn. I think we talked about that last week.
Here's the thing, we know too. Like, you just like blood in the water. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, sniff you out. He ain't ready.
Yeah.
And all that's gonna do is, for that cat that's ready, is gonna propel them to just dig deeper into you. You know what I'm saying? He ain't ready.
Yeah, so, it's just gonna make them more confident.
Yeah, more confident, more just to go a little, just to even, for me, battling. Like if I was in a battle and I knew the person that I'm battling against wasn't ready, or they just didn't. I'm just going even harder.
But even beyond battling, just playing the same bill. Yeah. You know, you got to get on stage if you're playing 30-minute sets and there's 6 or 8 DJs up there. And, you know, the guy that went on before you was a monster, and the guy on after you is a monster. And, you know, you haven't prepared anything, and that set's going to fall flat. Now, some people, like I said, they put in their 10,000 hours, and it just doesn't matter. They're going to they're going to knock it out of the park no matter what, if they practice that week or not. Right. You know, but other people, like newer DJs that have not put in that 10,000 hours yet, you know, if you want to shine, you got to put in that work. You got to have something prepared, some ideas together, you know, and organized, so that when you get up there, you've got contingencies. Because you might think, oh, I'm going to play all these records, and then the guy before you drops most of the songs that you were prepared to play. What are you going to do?
Or just, you know, like, even that, like, having that spotlight on you, like, you know, you and I have been lucky enough to play a lot of gigs where we've been able to experience that, and I feel like we were ready for those situations. So sometimes it's not, you know, I talked about the battle stuff, but sometimes it's not battles. It's just, like you said, a gig where it's like 30 minutes or 45 minutes you're on. In that 30 or 45 minutes when you're on, especially when you're playing with multiple DJs, now it's go time. It's like, all right, what am I going to do? Not necessarily to outdo the other DJs, but to garner some attention for myself.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, when I go on, I want them to remember me, or I want somebody in the crowd to be like, yo, that was dope, or whatever, right? So if you haven't been practicing, if you haven't been doing this, you haven't been doing that, and you get up there and you just play the same old mediocre set, then nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, again, it's all about being ready for the moment. Because you never know when that moment's going to come. Like, you know, we don't have things scheduled out like, oh, on, you know, July 13th, we're going to do this and that. Nah, you're just going to get that phone call. Hey, yo, can you come play this gig with Charlie Chan and DJ Deception and DJ KUE and DJ A-Flex and Chris Brown? And you're going to play right in the middle of all of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better be ready.
Yeah.
Because those guys I named are coming hard. Like, hard. And we already know that, Charlie's gonna be there, Flake's gonna be there, Chris gonna be there, he'll be there. Oh yeah, it's going down. This shit gonna be dope. So I already know they gonna do some dope shit. So I can't be the clown up there that don't do dope shit. So 100%. So be ready all the time. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, so many guys, man. Oh man, I'm gonna start scratching when something come up. I'm like, yo, you just gonna look like a fool up there. You're gonna look like Boo Boo the Clown.
Imagine being a comedian and it's like, I'm gonna start writing my jokes whenever I've got, you know, a week out from.
You backstage writing jokes.
You can't do that. You can't
going up.
You gotta
after Chris Rock.
You gotta have an arsenal ready to go. Ready, you know. You gotta be loaded up, one in the chamber, ready to rock and roll at any time. I love all the similarities. Like I said, I listen to the Rogan podcast. I listen to some other podcasts from comedians, and what they go through really mirrors what DJs go through.
Well, you know, a lot of that is, you know, it's just you up there by yourself a lot of times, and then there's a crowd.
Yeah, you're trying to kill.
Yeah, you know, it's you versus the crowd.
Well, and it's kind of in the moment, you know, where, say, for example, like a band is going to go up there and they're going to play songs that everybody knows and sings along to, and it's like, all right, we came to see whoever it is, right? Kendrick Lamar. Mm-hmm. And we know Kendrick Lamar's songs, and we're going to expect to, you know, but as a comedian or as a DJ, you have to adapt. Like, there's no changing Kendrick Lamar's set. When he performs, like, he's got that thing, you know, locked and loaded, ready to go. As a DJ, though, you have to be able to, you know, especially if you're playing a couple hours, you have to be able to adapt on the fly. Or as a comedian, if like, if your material isn't working, you got to be able to adapt on the fly. And again, I don't know a lot about being a stand-up comedian other than listening to podcasts, but it's one of those jobs where, you're trying to make the crowd pop. You're trying to get them to go, to scream and sing along and to get up and dance. And as a DJ, that's what we feed off of. Is when we see a couple people get up and dance, it's like, okay, I know what to do. Yeah. I know what to do next.
Yeah. You find like a couple people in the crowd here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're, and that, it's crazy for me having gigs like, say I was going to play at Nordstrom or something like that. And like those store gigs and stuff where people aren't really dancing. Party. That's so difficult for me because all I know is try to
dance floor.
Get the dance. Yeah. Get people dancing. Mm-hmm. Right. That's the only mode. Like I don't know how to do background music. It's very difficult for me. I always feel like I'm failing, Yeah. And I know that there's a time and a place to be that kind of DJ, but it is kind of interesting. Comedians tell jokes, they get the laughs, but if that joke doesn't get laughs, you gotta reword it. You gotta go and work on it. If you're playing music and those songs that you're playing are not getting people dancing or not keeping people dancing, you gotta reevaluate. You might have to reevaluate on the fly.
Well, I think too, like you talked about a band, and it, one of the similar DJs and comedians, we don't have anybody to lean on. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't turn to the drummer and be like, "Yo, turn, do this," or turn to somebody playing the bass. There's no support on stage.
Oh yeah, it's all
or in the booth. The comedian, they can't turn around and be like, "Yo, you got another joke?" You know what I'm saying? Or "Yo, what should I play?" No, it's you.
Well, it's interesting too that you say that because I've been playing on the stage at Tin Roof lately instead of in the DJ booth. Yeah, they want me on there to kind of like, I don't know, for optics or whatever. Yeah, but to me, like, I'm just in my, I'm kind of like, I'm just playing music. Like, do people really need to see me? But I think like just the psychology of it all, the culture, the nightlife culture, or whatever you want to call it, has changed to where we want to see the DJs. We want to see them up there dancing and singing along and people on stage with them drinking and having a good time or whatever. There's the spectacle of it all versus kind of hiding in the DJ booth. Mm-hmm. Where in the DJ booth, it's kind of a little bit of a crutch. If you need to throw on a mix and take a break or whatever, it's not as noticeable. But when you're on stage for 4 hours straight, there's nowhere to run and hide. Yeah. It's all eyes on you for 4 hours straight. If you got to go take a leak, they know what you went and did. They're watching you walk across the room over to the bathroom.
Up there, like, twiddling your thumbs. Like, I think that, like, I had this conversation with DJ Micro the other day. I think that the performance side of DJing is coming back to the forefront as far as like, scratching and doing things as a DJ and being on stage and people seeing it. I think it's a slow trickle. It's not like, we flipped the switch and now it's back. But I think part of it is because of the technology, the software and the gear is becoming so good that and how they're implementing it is making it such a way that we can do it in these party club settings where, like, if you rewind back in the day, if you were a performance DJ, you were a battle DJ, right? And you didn't do any battle stuff in the club. If you were a club DJ, you just mixed and your mixes were just smooth and that's really all you did. A little scratch here, a little scratch there. That's it. Well, now that the software is getting so good, the hardware is getting so good, and we're able to do all these other cool things. We can do more than just mix real clean and smooth. We can do all this, stuff with stems or stuff with the gear that people can see and they're like, oh, that's what DJs do. Like here's a great example. I'll give you. I DJ Chicken and Pickle. Saturday and Sunday, one of the managers comes up and is like, yo, he's like, you ever think about just putting your headphones on and just watching Netflix while you're up here? And I was like, I mean, I could do that, but like I'm playing the music. And he was like, oh, you're actually like playing the music? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I didn't realize you guys DJs were up here like actually you like picking the songs? And I'm like, yeah. And mixing them together? I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, I didn't realize you guys are doing all that. I thought you guys just kind of like had a playlist running and it just did its own thing. And he was just like blown out of the water that, you know, I was up there. Every song that got played is songs that I went through and picked and played and mixed and all that. And people are starting to become aware of it little by either asking questions or by actually seeing DJs DJ. Where, like you said, when you're in the booth, you can't just let a mix run and no one's other wiser. But when you're on stage and you just got a mix running and you're just standing there, and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I figured he was doing. He's not up there doing anything.
Yeah.
But if you're up there mixing and doing this and doing that and you're moving around, they may not know exactly what you're doing, but you're touching all these things and moving around. They're like, okay, wait a minute, he's doing something up there that I don't understand, and there's more going on than I thought. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely coming back around for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems that people are starting to take notice, and maybe that's a good thing.
I think it's an awesome thing.
Yeah, you know, where it's like, all right, we're losing a crutch and we're making things a little bit more challenging for ourselves. But I think that things are starting to spin back to where people respect the DJ. I feel like that was kind of lost a little bit for a minute. You know, there was all these, I was seeing memes and stuff where it's like, you know, biggest red flag for a guy, and it's like he's a DJ or whatever. It'd be some silly thing like that. And I just felt like, you know, DJs were taking some hits for a few years, and, you know, it was like, oh, you're like Pauly D. There was just all of these things that people were saying. And I feel like that's starting to shift back because, you know, so many DJs are doing, creating so much content for social media that it's, you know, people are seeing this. People that I know are not really into DJing are sending me DJ stuff. Yeah. That it's hitting their social media platforms. They're seeing what's going on, and they're like, oh, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what you do? And I'm like, yeah. Or
that's what we've been doing forever.
Right. Yeah. Or I post a video of me doing something, and they're like, whoa. I didn't know that that's what you did, but they can see it up close and personal. They can see the buttons that you're pressing or the record moving back and forth. And and then it makes sense.
Yeah. But or it's like I don't know if it makes sense to them, but what it does, it creates this idea of like, okay, they're doing more than I thought.
Right.
And they're doing more than what I understand. So like before it was like everybody thought they knew what we were doing. Oh, they're just up there just hitting buttons, right? Or they're just up there hitting a button. Now they're seeing more things go on, and they're like, okay, I hear what happened. That was really cool. I have no idea how they made it happen, but they were just shuffling around and doing all these things, and this cool thing happened. And I think that that's a good thing in the sense that they don't understand it, so they respect it. Because then they know that they can't do it themselves. I think what was going on for a long time is everybody thought that they could just be a DJ. Oh, I can DJ, I can do your job, blah, blah, blah. How many times have you heard that, right? You know, every DJ on the planet's heard that from somebody. I can do your job. You're just up here hitting a button. Well, now that they're seeing like, okay, no, there's a lot more going on than just hitting a button. But one thing I will say too is things like what happened with Grimes helps, because now people are like, oh, okay, okay. What I thought was DJing, what I thought was the right thing, what I thought was this, and what I thought was that is not that. You know what I'm saying? And then you got other DJs, you know, posting on social media, and they're showing all these videos, and they're hitting pages like, you know, like you said, somebody reach out, you know, send you videos. People send me videos all the time of DJs or whatever, you know, those forward something to me, and they're like, oh, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that for a long time. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
To add on to that, like I think that technology has given us the ability to do some of the things that people used to ask us if we could do and we couldn't. Like the stems thing.
Yeah.
So do you take the words out of the song? Like, no, you can't really do that. I'm playing an acapella or I'm playing an instrumental, and that's how you do it. But now we can take it out. Or when people are like, what? You don't have this song? Now that I have Beat Source, you know, I made that money last week that I was talking about earlier because I had Beat Source. I didn't have some of the songs that she was requesting in my laptop, but I could just, I'm like, all right, whatever you want, $20 a pop, let's go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that, you know, everything's kind of coming to, I don't know, full resolution.
Back around,
yeah, where...
And I feel like it was kind of like that before, back in the day, when technology wasn't as big. I think that, like, you know, back in the old vinyl days, whatever you want to call it, like, I think people had more respect for DJs then. Then when technology kicked in, I think people lost it because they're like, oh, that's just easy. You know, they could just do it with a computer, and all you need is a computer and you're fine, right? But I think now that the technology has gotten so advanced and so extensive, people are going back to like, oh shit, I don't understand it anymore. You know, they're doing way more than what I thought. Just like with stems, right? Like, oh, can you take the words out of that? Yeah, I can. Boop. And you took the words out of it. Oh, how the hell did you just do that? you know, before it was like, yeah, we can take the words out of stuff if you had an acapella, but can you make a mashup of Miley Cyrus and Juicy J right now? Yep, I can.
So,
and, you know,
I want to touch on something real quick, because I had an idea, and I've not fully formulated this, so, like, but, you know, when I DJ'd clubs in the early to mid 2000s, I think most people were exposed to music through the radio.
Yeah.
So if in your record crates you had a good chunk of the songs that were played on the radio, people would come up and are like, hey, do you have the, you know, Chingy record? It's like, boom, I got the Chingy record.
Yeah.
They were happy. But when Spotify came along and everybody's music catalog exploded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Even
everybody, even ours,
you know, yeah, well, yeah. It's like people expected you to have every song in Spotify. Every song that's in their personalized algorithm.
Right.
And pardon me for using the word algorithm too many times in this podcast.
Yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying, where like expectations were kind of kept at bay because, you know, people only heard so much music on the radio. Spotify, now it's like, hey, do you have any like Cuban house? Like,
yeah, I had a guy ask me for some Russian music at 360 a couple weeks ago.
They expect you to have just everything. And thank God now we've got Beat Source, even though, like, I'm not going to, you know, you can't just walk up and think that just because you have access to Beat Source and you have access to music that you're going to play, you know, Cuban music if it's not the right environment for that. And we talked about that. I think you had a post about that, like, don't come to clubs expecting, you know, for it to be the vibe that you have in your car. What was your post?
No, so the post was don't go to places that don't, and that wasn't an expectation thing. How did I word it? Don't go to the places where the vibe isn't your vibe.
Okay.
Is what I said.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, some people have a vibe that they like. You know, they have a thing that they like to kick it to and they like to party to. And they come and it's not that. And they want to change it to their thing. And it's like, yo, like, no, that's not the vibe here.
Yeah.
Just because that's your vibe doesn't mean that's the vibe here.
It's like the infamous DJ craze when that girl came up and requested a song and he did this.
Yeah, you know. And that's the whole thing. And it's not a matter of like what you're requesting is bad. It's just not the vibe here.
Right.
And the thing is too, I think that everybody knows where they can go to get the vibe that they want. And it's no problem for you to be like, oh man, this ain't my vibe. I don't, you know, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't bother me with it. You know, that's my whole thing. But
go out to your car where you can be the center of the universe.
Or go to the other club that does that.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That's my whole thing.
Well. Yeah.
Go to the club, the bar, the whatever, the lounge that does that thing.
And it's always, it's an interesting thing too. Like sometimes I try and do something cool where like somebody comes up and it's like, hey, you got any Latin music? I'm like, a little bit. And I'm like, all right, can you play some, I don't know, let's just say Bad Bunny. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll play Bad Bunny. And they won't tip you, first of all. Sometimes they do, but a lot of times they don't. And then they think, oh, well, he did this once. Let me go look at my phone and see if there's any other songs I want to play.
Yeah.
How do you tell them, like, hey, I played a song for you, but now you're pushing it?
I just tell them, no, I ain't got that one. Yeah, when people start getting on like a roll, a carousel where it's like, all right, you ask for one request, and then they're like just traveling through the phone. Here's a good example. I was DJing at Margo a couple weeks ago. This girl comes up and she's got her phone out, and she was like, "Can you play?" I think she actually asked me to play "Sexy Red." I was like, "Yo, we're not doing that here tonight. It's like this." And she's like, "Well, here's my phone. Pick something out of it to play." And I was like, "Yo, I'm good. I got it. Like, I don't need your phone, to pick what music I'm gonna play." You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got a request, you can go through your phone and find one. But I'm not gonna go through your phone. And then once it starts to become like, multiple requests, especially if you're not tipping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like
that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
Is, do you ever? Is there a scenario where you ask for tips? Or like, hey, I gave you that first one for free. The next one's gonna be $10. Or anything.
I haven't implemented that, but I'm not opposed to it. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not opposed to asking for tips. I never. So that's what we're kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. I kind of want to set up a situation where it's like we set the precedence for tipping, right? Yeah. Like set it where it's like, all right, if I go up to the DJ and ask him to play a song, I want them to see something that triggers them to be like, oh, I should tip. I don't want to have to say it, but I just want them to see a sign or something to be like, oh, yeah, maybe I should throw them a couple bucks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, what can you say? And if you guys are...
Well, I want to mitigate talking because I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I don't want to talk more than I need to someone when I'm DJing. Like, I want them to see it. Hey, can you play this? Yes or no, if I got it or not. And then if I do... boom, they do it, they tip. I don't want to have a conversation. And I think that's what happens.
I think there's a phrase, though. Like, I throw it in the comments. What's the phrase?
What's the phrase?
How, like, what, it depends on the song, and it depends if you're going to make it worth my while.
I don't even think it depends on the song, really. I mean...
It does, though.
Tipping, like I really feel like tipping should be in there to play, for people to play your records. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So you're saying
even if it's like a buck or two, you know what I'm saying? Like
a buck, you would take a tip. You would take a buck or two to play a song.
I mean,
have you ever calculated how much money you make per song when you DJ?
No,
because you probably make more than a buck or two for every song that you play.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't have a standard on like, okay, a tip is, to play a song, it's this amount of money or that amount of money. Because I look at tips as it's a tip. Even when I go to a restaurant, right? It depends on the service, right? There's like, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it out loud. I just don't automatically tip 20%. I know that a lot of people live by that notion, but I don't think that that's the way the world works. The way the world works is a tip is an extra amount of money that I gave you because you did well at what you're supposed to do. It's just extra. That's what a tip is. We've kind of made it so like a tip should be this amount of money. Should you tip if the service is good? Yeah, just like, okay, if you come and ask for a song and I play it, then I did what you asked me to do. So can you tip me? Yeah, but do you have to tip me a certain amount of money? Now, I will say, to caveat that, if it is something completely left field of what I'm doing and it may jeopardize my job, then that's a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, either I'm not going to do it or the tip has to be enough money to cover the night. because I might get pulled, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing that they're not taking into consideration. Yeah. Like, I want you to play the song. I'm like, yeah, but I want a DJ here next week.
Exactly.
So,
right. I want a DJ here next week. I want to make my paycheck next week as well. So if it's something that can jeopardize that'll bring a hard no, or it will be an extensive amount of money to cover the fact that I may or may not be there next week because I played this song that you want to hear right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people don't think about it that deep. They don't think that we have to deal with that kind of stuff, but we do. You know, a lot of the songs that we can play, like Tin Roof, for example, there was a No Sexy Red rule for a little while. you know, so
they've lightened up on that.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a thing, you know, and I'm sure it was a thing other places, and I'm sure there's been that type of rule for other types of songs.
Yeah.
So,
but the crowd chilled out. Yeah. You know, that was the thing, is like, I think the crowd realized, like, whoa, we can't go this crazy, or they're gonna say that they can't play the music we want to hear. So it's like, hey, so now I'll play one or two in a set, and it's crazy because and I don't do that all the time, but I played one last Sunday. Mm-hmm. I'm on stage, and it was like I cold dropped it. I think it was Get It Sexy. Mm-hmm. Is that the name of it? Get It Sexy?
That's the newest one, yeah.
So I cold dropped into that. And immediately, like, pandemonium. Some girls jumped up on the table, and security had to go run up and pull them off the table. And the security guard walks by and gives me a look, and I was like, I'm sorry. He was like, it's cool, man. I was like, damn it. All right, my bad. So,
but to go back to the tip thing, I don't expect to be tipped just because I DJ'd. But if you want me to do extra,
I see. I feel different. I feel different.
Well, and, if I'm so here's the thing: if I'm DJing, just I DJ the whole night, and I agreed on the money that I'm gonna get paid. I'm okay with that. Now, if somebody does want to give me a tip just because I'm doing a good job DJing, fine, I'll take it. Yeah. I don't expect that. But if you want me to go out of my way to do something extra that I probably wasn't going to do, then you need to pay for that service.
That's anything. So that's my general rule of thumb is if you say the name of a song and I'm excited about it, like somebody asked me to play Webby, Give Me That last week. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to play that in years.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. And I played it, and it went off well. Mm-hmm. I expect no money. No, you did me a favor. You gave me an idea that was...
that's too subjective, though. You know what I'm saying? Great. Because what if you were DJing at 360 Westport and somebody asked you for that?
No, it's not subjective.
It's still a good song.
No, but it's not for that room.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if somebody gives me a song that it's like, oh, I didn't think of that. That'd be a great song to play. That'd be perfect right now. That's mm-hmm. going to keep the crowd going and whatever. Like, totally acceptable, all encompassing. Mm-hmm. But if they came up and I was at 360 and they're like, play Webby, I'm like, man, you're going to have to. Like, first of all, I'm not going to play it.
You can't even play it then.
Right,
like,
right. Yeah. I'm just, it's going to be a no.
Yeah.
But then I think that there's the stuff in the middle where it's like, I can play it, but, you need to hook me up.
I think any request should come with a tip.
Wait, you didn't say that a minute ago, though.
Yeah, I did.
You kind of, okay. All right. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I said.
Run that tape back.
I don't expect to be tipped just if I'm DJing.
Oh yeah, okay.
If you come and ask me to play a song, I don't, I think you should tip. If you come and ask me to play a song, because you're asking me to do something extra.
And they come back up and say, hey, you didn't play my song. It's like, I'm sorry, I heard you, but my wallet didn't.
Right. 1,000. But if I'm just DJing, no one's talking to me, and because again, I've made an agreement on how much I'm getting paid. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Nobody asked me to do nothing extra.
Right.
But if you ask me to do something extra, then I'm like, okay, well, can we?
So, but the question is, and what are the words? What are the words to use to, in a professional way, say, well,
you
I might be able to find that record, but
That's why I like signs.
Yeah. Well, that's what's great about the tip bucket.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't want people to think that if they give me money, I'll play any song that they want to hear.
That's another thing. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that too, because then that turns into the whole, all right, well, he played one song, now I need to give him 10 more to play. I think that's the part where we got to figure out, okay, like, yo, you got to stop. Even if they're tipping, because what happens is they think that you're their personal playlist builder. You know what I'm saying? And
right. And
now all of a sudden you're DJing for this one person, and you got all these other people in the room.
Right. So is the vibe of the room? The vibe of the room takes priority over.
Yeah.
Requests and over.
Yeah.
What?
I think that, like, the vibe of the room definitely take a priority over a one person's request. But then that depends on, like, when you play the request, right? Like, somebody comes up, say you're playing like a house set at the moment, and they come up and ask for the Webby record, right? Okay, I'll play it, but I'm not playing it right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And the second that they're rude, it immediately becomes a no.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm entertaining them, like, hey, I can play it, but I can't do it now, and you say something like, well, we're leaving, so we need to play it now, or whatever it is, whatever kind of snobby, entitled, freaking main character syndrome crap that you're going to tell me to make, you know what I mean? Like, they think that you, like, work for them or something. Yeah. And this isn't all people. This is just, you know.
But I think that's where, like,
you will encounter these people at Starbucks. You'll encounter these people, you know, and then immediately is like, I don't have it, you know.
I think that's where, like, DJs get so upset, right? Like, with the request thing, it's not necessarily the request itself; it's the
treatment,
the how you requested the song, and it's like, okay, well, I'm doing this right now, okay. You want me to play, like, again, playing house set, and you come up and ask for, like, Webby, give me that. Cool, I got you. All right. That song might come in an hour or 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? But, like, that's just not the vibe right now.
Yeah, if you want to push it up on the playlist.
Right, yeah, it's going to take a lot. You know, that's what
I'm open to negotiating.
Maybe that's where the conversation's like, all right, well, how much you going to pay me to play it right now?
Can I change the subject real quick? We can go back to this. DJ Smitty, if you're listening to this, you're an asshole.
What's Smitty do? I ain't seen Smitty in a minute. What's up, Smitty?
So, what is it? The Big Tuck record, the Murphy Lee remix.
Oh, Not a Stain on Me.
Not a Stain on Me.
Yeah.
I have messaged him twice. Now, hold on. Before I talk too much, let me check my email.
Well, you need that record?
Yeah, I don't have it on my laptop.
Why are you only hitting one person? You know, I got it.
Because he recorded Murphy Lee on it. He was the Dirty NT sound engineer.
Oh, okay.
So
you got an acapella of it? That'd be crazy. Oh, yes. Smitty, what's good, bro?
Well, okay, yeah. He didn't send it. So I've asked him for that record. Because here's the thing. I'm asking him because I know he's got the best quality version. You know, he probably has
a version of it.
Yeah, it's solid. It's bassy, and it's not all distorted.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want that record. Will you email that to me?
I got you.
All right. Yeah, please. And yeah, Smitty.
What's up, Smitty? I ain't seen Smitty.
Come on, man. He's like gatekeeping the damn record. Like, I know you got it.
A lot of people got that record, though.
But I wanted to get it from him because I know he's got the best quality version. Like I said, he didn't produce the beat, but when Murphy Lee wanted to get on the remix, Smitty used to be the sound engineer for Dirty NT Studios and did a lot of work with Murphy Lee and recorded a lot of stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So I know that he's got to have the highest quality version.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we just kind of got on a little sidetrack, but
it's all good.
I was thinking about the little or the Webby track, and I was thinking about that era, that time period, the music.
Yeah.
Which, gosh, man.
You know what's funny? Like we talk about like the music and stuff like that. That Webby record, and even that Big Tuck record, like that to me is like not the crossover rap. You know, not the Ludacris 50 Cent rap. That was the I don't say the hood rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you play some of those songs in certain situations where, I want some hip hop or something like that, or I want some rap music, and you play one of those records, they won't know what it is.
Oh no, yeah, but I played downtown St. Louis for a black crowd, so
for the crowd.
The more of those records that I have within arm's reach, you know, like, and they love it. They love looking up there and they're like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, honey.
Like the Webby and the Boosie and the Fox and you know, Paul Wall, Swisher House stuff, all that stuff was banging back then. But those weren't. It's funny, you know, we talk about hip hop and rap and how big it was. Those were some big records that were big in the hood, not really big on mainstream. They're not top 100 records, or not this or not that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a 50
But I
Cent.
think those are some of the records that made some of those artists pop.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What was that? What was that old Future record? Like one of the first Future
Notice
records.
Me?
Notice Me.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I remember playing Notice Me. Was that his first single? Or at least the first one that kind of went national?
Big single, yeah.
And I remember having that and playing it. Maybe I played it on a mixtape.
Mm-hmm.
And playing it on the radio. I might have even been on the radio at the time.
Yeah.
And a bunch of DJs hit me up. We're like, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
that
you
was
don't know
back
about this?
when the Future was in St. Louis all the time, and people thought he was from St. Louis because he was running with Gucci O and Loudy and all those guys. Yeah, I remember when Gucci O brought Future to Red Hot Thursdays when I used to DJ there. And I remember he was standing there and Gucci O gave me the CD, you know, Notice Me on it. He had posters, you know, he's doing his whole record promo thing, and Future's just standing there. And it's funny, I tell people the story all the time, like, because back then too, there were so many rappers. You know what I mean? This is like, you know, post Nelly era in St. Louis where everybody's a rapper.
Everybody and their cousin.
You know, like every week, you know, I'm DJing Red Hot Thursdays, which was a big like urban night in the city. Shout out to Phil Assets. And, you know, every Thursday somebody was coming up. Yo, man, I got a CD. I got da-da-da-da-da. You know, here comes Gucci O with Future. Okay, that's dope, man.
Yeah, you had no idea.
To be honest, like,
right.
I didn't really give it that much smoke because I was like, oh, man, here's another rapper from, you know, Gucci O has been around. He had this guy, that guy, this guy. And then it's like, okay, Notice Me comes out. Cool, it's popping. Fast forward, what was it, like, Same Time and Karate Chop. And all these other Future records start hitting. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, that's Whole Boy.
Right.
That was with Gucci O at you know, Red Hot Thursdays. And all of a sudden,
what was
it's like, boom.
Yeah. What was I want to say he was working. Do you remember the All Stars?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was that All Star record?
Oh man, I can hear it. In my mind. Yeah. That was it. I forget. I got it.
But I used to open my set on the radio with that all the time. So he loved me.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Flex, you would like, because you know,
so many rappers.
Yeah.
Oh
but he usually came with some heat.
Yeah.
Gucci O usually.
Gucci O was the dude, but he just had so many people that it was hard to decipher, like, okay, what was gonna be good and what was gonna, you know, fade away in a week. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when we have Charlie on, we should have him because he was.
Oh yeah,
he was really in the know and
and
connected with everybody, because I was getting a lot of those records secondhand through Charlie. Like, you know, he'd load me up, and of course Solo too.
Yeah.
You know, but he really knew who was who and who was doing what.
Yeah, and what was going to pop.
time.
Remember Abyss, the Catch-22 record?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I've got all those records downstairs.
Yeah, that. Remember JMC and Ronin, the Nicki record?
What about, what was J Nick's group?
Oh, man, I don't remember.
What was his group?
I don't remember what.
But he had a little rap group that had a little hit there for a while. I was playing that. St. Louis just had.
We were popping for a minute.
What was his name? Spade Ripper.
Remember Ludi.
Yeah.
Who else? That Spade River Always records. Yeah, man. I did a little like edit of that, and I put my name in it and shit.
Yeah. That was a good time.
That was
like
banging.
there was just
It
felt like just the music had so much energy and was so hype. It was like this St. Louis. It was like kind of crunk, but
it was definitely leaning more towards the crunk era. And Lil Jon used to be in St. Louis all the time.
Oh yeah,
Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, they would just show up places, no security, no nothing. I remember DJing at ISIS, and it was back when he used to walk around with that cup.
I've got some Lil Jon stories.
And he just would pop in the club.
So Lil Jon paid for my trip to Puerto Rico.
Oh, for real? I didn't know that.
For the Mix Show Power Summit, I hung out with. We went to when he was here another time. We went to Dave and Buster's.
Oh yeah.
And
you got to kick it with Lil Jon. I never really kicked it with him. He was in the club, came in the booth, and
no, yeah,
with him
like
and all that,
I've kicked it with Lil Jon, and I don't. Sorry, everybody's like, all right, Alex, quit name dropping, but yeah, during that time when I was in radio all the time, I mean that was regular. I told you the Juvenile story. That's one of my favorite stories to tell, right?
I don't think I heard a Juvenile.
I'll tell you about it. Okay, so.
Juve.
Yeah, we should do this more on the podcast because I know we both have some crazy stories.
Yeah.
So, Juvenile, of course, back that ass up.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what is this, like 2003, 4, something like that?
Yeah.
This is still, back that ass up Juvenile. Like he's in his prime. Rodeo.
Ha.
What was the other record? Not Rodeo, but what was his other? Anyways, sorry, stop. I'm like getting sidetracked here.
I forget all them records they had. But yeah.
So, I did a lot of Thursday nights, a lot of Saturday nights, and I did a lot of fill-ins for different artists. But so I wasn't there every night, like, but I covered for Snow a lot, and then I did a Thursday live broadcast quite a bit for from Club Tequila Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, blah blah blah. I did a bunch of different radio spots. I do either live broadcasts from the club or I'd be in the studio or whatever. But you never knew when you came into the studio because at that time artists were coming through St. Louis a lot and doing interviews, before shows and whatever, right? I mean, we all remember radio. It's not been that long, but
right.
And I walk in. There's 2 studios at Q95.5, 104.1, whatever it is now.
Mm-hmm.
There's the studio that the DJ sets up in, and then there's the studio that they do like the talking, the interviewing, and that kind of stuff. And there's glass in between them.
Yeah.
So I walk into the studio where there's the turntables and all that, and I drop off my crates, and I'm looking in there, and I can see that someone is sitting where the guest that would be interviewed is sitting, and Jay Nix is over there talking to whoever this is. I'm like, who the hell is that? And I can hear, and it's a like commercial break or whatever, so there's no talking or whatever. I can't hear who it is. And so I walk around and I walk in, and this dude's got on a boxing robe that says Juvie the Great on the back, and he's got on this red like satin red with the hood robe.
Yeah.
No shirt.
What the hell?
Boxing shorts that in the front says like Juvie or something.
Yeah. And he was in there with Jay Nick?
Boxing shorts. Shorts were satin, red satin. And this is like maroon satin or whatever.
Yeah.
The boxing shoes that are like red satin and got like the little frilly things. No shirt and a bunch of like gold chains on and sunglasses.
So why was he dressed like that?
It's Juvenile, bro. I have no clue. I have no clue.
I've never seen Juvie wear that before, dog. I don't know if I want him in the radio studio with me with that on.
I'm like,
bro, you're going to have to put on a shirt.
You left the house looking like you were like walking into the ring.
He left his state.
Right. You left the state. You put this in your suitcase.
Right.
You were in New Orleans like, all right, I'm going to head up to St. Louis. Let me bring my boxing robe, my boxing shorts, and my boxing. He must have had
something going on. Like, yeah, it had to been like
to promote the album. Like there was a song that was like something about fighting or whatever.
Was it?
I don't know.
I don't remember that song.
But, I wasn't going to press him. This is
yeah, I mean,
Juvenile.
it's Juvie. Like, yo, I would just be thinking, like, yo, what's the deal with Jay Nix? Like, why is he dressed like that?
But there's been very few times, like, I was used to being around other celebrities. Like, I could be, if I saw Murphy Lee in there, I'd seen Murphy Lee around a lot. Or other celebrities just seem like
well, yeah, at the radio station,
people.
They're always in and out, because if they come in for a show, they come in and do the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
But walking in on Juvenile dressed like a boxer, I was just like, what is this?
I might have had to say something like, yo, Juvie, what you got on, bro?
It was crazy.
What you got? Like, Megan O called out Chingy when he was in the radio station. He was like, she said something. He was like, man, I'm coming from the gym. I wouldn't even, I was supposed to go here, go there before I came here, and I didn't make it, man. I ain't get a haircut, da. So she was clowning him when he was in the station.
I ran into him at Guitar Center.
I seen him at Quick Trip, dog.
You just run into Chingy at like weird places.
Time.
It's so funny because like I walk in and he looks at me and he gives me the squinty eyes and I give him the squinty eyes because I'm like, is that motherfucking Chingy? And he's like, where I know you from? I'm like, man, da. Used to be on the radio, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, the white guy. Like,
right.
Yeah, he was like, I remember you. He didn't remember my name, but he remembered who I was and whatever.
Yeah, he used to work out at the gym that I worked out at. Yeah, I see him all the time.
But he's cool. He was in there. Yeah. He was in there selling some old but old studio equipment to get store credit to buy new studio equipment. I'm like, back to work. And he's like, yep, it's that time.
I think he just dropped a new record. I think I seen he put on Instagram the other day.
Yeah, he's still active. He's still active.
And
he's been cool. One thing about Chingy too that I will give him a lot of credit, and same with the Track Boys and Jaquan, is they really showed love to the DJs. With the DJ dinners and partying and coming out and showing us love and doing drops for the mixtapes and radio spots and just all the different things. Like I remember that really sticks with me is how artists treated the DJs, even from 20 years ago. Like all that really sticks with me.
That definitely popped off for a hot minute, where they were doing things for us because somebody, and I'm just going to take a wild guess, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. DJ AJ, shout out to AJ, told them, you need us.
Well, do you remember the whole Nelly scenario?
Which one?
So Nelly, okay, so there was this was years ago, right? But I don't know if it was in the source or where it was, but there was a picture of Nelly giving, I forget who it was, but let's say either Kid Capri or Funkmaster Flex, whatever, a plaque for like, selling 5 million albums or whatever it was. And somebody could have been AJ, could have been anybody, right? I think it was one of the beat DJs really kind of like brought attention to the fact that nobody in St. Louis had gotten a plaque yet.
Yeah.
So I forget what it was. I
think it was AJ. It's probably either
still,
AJ or Cut.
Could have been, but they were dirty DJs. That was already established at that time. And he's like, wait a minute, you're gonna go up to New York and give that guy plaques and whatever, all this a reward or award or whatever you want to call it for supporting the record, when we've been down for you and blasted your stuff constantly. There's no way that he played your music as much as we were playing it, and and he, like, it just needed to be said. But it did really shine a light on that. And I think him kind of going through that, a lot of the DJs and a lot of the industry people in St. Louis told the other up-and-coming DJs, like, don't make that mistake and get on the bad side of the DJs, because they're going to, these are the people that are, supporting the hell out of you. So that's, I think, how all of that came about. And people like Solo and
Finsta.
Well, I would Finsta, but I was thinking about who was the guy that had the other record pool? It was
Toss and Ted.
Toss and Ted, right? People like that had the connections with the DJs and the artists and the labels and stuff like that. I think that they also really help to
they've helped us facilitate
with the politics
and facilitate that situation, because they needed us, because we were the ones that, especially if you're a radio DJ, you had to go through us, and the DJ, the street DJ that was also a radio DJ, politicked with the program director. Like, yo, we need to be playing this record.
I think we were just kind of taken for granted.
Yeah, so
that's my hometown. They're gonna support me no matter what.
Yeah, but but you definitely needed it. But here's the thing: you needed us, and you needed to recognize us, right? Because we are the ones who, again, politicked with the program directors or politicked with wherever to play these records and to get them popular. So then it was played all over the world. And the other thing you got to remember, this is pre-social media. So it wasn't the days of, oh, I can upload something to YouTube and it might catch fire. It's like, no, you had to go through the DJs. That's when the DJs had the advantage, because without the DJs, if you're a new artist, no one's going to hear you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, they're the ones that are politicking for you, because being a DJ, like, you have an ear for good music. You hear songs and you're like, that is going to work. And, that is a skill that we have. So when we hear stuff like that coming from our hometown, and obviously we want our hometown, like, if Nelly wins, we win, right? Yeah. Like, let's say that Nelly never happens, right? How is the landscape of St. Louis hip hop and hip hop culture, all that, changed?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What was Silk Smooth was before Nelly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Domino was before Nelly, but they didn't really claim St. Louis like Nelly claimed St. Louis. Nelly claimed St. Louis so hard. So if you're in LA or you're in Michigan or you're in wherever, they know what St. Louis even is. There's a lot of people listening to Domino record. They don't even know that that's a St. Louis record, or Silk Smooth Trick with a Good Record. They don't know that's a St. Louis record. But you can't listen to Country Grammar and be like, man, I didn't know that was a St. Louis record. Right. You're just a fool if that's the case. Right. But if you take Nelly out of the situation, or Nelly doesn't happen. Let's say Nelly doesn't happen. Nelly doesn't happen. Chingy probably doesn't happen. Jaquan probably doesn't happen. Ludi doesn't happen.
Right.
Fresco Kane or Jenna doesn't happen.
You're right. Nelly made all the other labels look at St. Louis and go, whoa, this is an untapped
or just having
market here.
Just having the idea like, oh man, I can make music and become something out of St. Louis. Because before it was like, all right, if you make music, you got to move here, or you got to go there, or you got to do this. I got to go to New York. I got to, all of a sudden, I was born in St. Louis, but I got to go to New York to do this, or I got to go to L.A. to do this, or whatever. Nelly was like, no, I can be from right here.
Yeah.
Be from home.
Yeah, it was just the perfect storm.
So it gives people that like motivation or inspiration, or be like, okay, damn, he did, I can do it. So like again, like you see it, Nelly and Chingy at one point had beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but I think that like Chingy definitely saw Nelly make it, and it pushed him to be like, oh, if he can make it, I can make it. Or Pretty Willie, or the list goes on. All those guys from that early 2000s to mid 2000s time frame.
There's a, and we need to wrap this up here. I think we've been running a little long, but there's a like classic St. Louis hip hop, or I don't know what the name of the playlist is, but now that you're done listening to this podcast, go to the classic St. Louis or St. Louis hip hop hits playlist on YouTube. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I never seen that before.
It's crazy. It's like 100, maybe 200 songs that you've forgotten all about.
Oh, I need to hit that up.
It's awesome. I don't know who put it together. Probably
and
somebody.
It's on YouTube?
Yeah, I want to say DJ Cino put it together.
Okay,
but I'm not 1,000% sure.
Is it a mix or just a playlist?
Just look it up.
Just Google it. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not a mix. It's a playlist. Yeah, where it's each individual song.
It's all on YouTube.
You know, and a lot of it's only audio because they don't have, you know,
Yeah, they didn't have videos,
for
right.
all that stuff back
yeah,
then,
a lot of them records didn't have videos.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, but St. Louis definitely had a lot of
Man, it was
bangers.
crazy. It was crazy. I mean, we had a lot of bang. We had a lot of trash too, but you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things that came through.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of bangers for a hot minute there, and it was weird because it was like, man, we on our way. You know, and then somewhere down the line, it kind of fell flat. It kind of fizzled. But yeah, for a minute there, you know, like Cuddy, you know, he had that record, Let Me Swing on him, and I mean, it was a lot, and they hit too. It wasn't even like, Coco's Mob Out, like those songs too. Like
they're getting sampled by like Glorilla and stuff now.
Yeah,
like there's.
But what's funny is I feel like if you played them out of town and didn't say, "Oh, this is St. Louis record," people were like, "Oh, what's this?" Because like when I used to travel, I would sprinkle in St. Louis records, and people would ask me, "Yo, what's that?" You know, like that's hot, because it wasn't like, "Oh, well, that's dope because it's from New York." People were like, that's just dope music. Like I like it, you know. And
it worked. It was of the time.
Right.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up.
So,
you got anything coming up this weekend?
Man, this weekend I'm chilling, dog.
Good.
Chilling. Got the kiddo.
You deserve it, man. You've been working too hard.
Yeah.
Maybe work on them socials.
Yeah. I'm gonna work on them socials.
And I'll be at Tin Roof Sunday as per usual.
Yeah.
I think that you know, we'll have some conversations after this about running some experiments on you know, strategy and I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? But
Yo, real quick before we go, who won?
Why you even gotta ask? I already sent you the meme. Remember the like?
Hey. God.
We know. Okay. Kendrick.
Yeah, K-Dot won that all day. If you say he didn't, y'all clowning.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, out. Peace.
All right. Peace. Yeah, no doubt. 100%. Man. Why you even ask? Like it was a slaughter.
That was bad. Oh. You got stiff. Sit down there.